What's up, everybody? It's Joe from Complex. You are listening. You're watching the Complex Sneakers Podcast. As always, I'm with my guys. First off, to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Here we are. I'm surprised you didn't add a new tagline to that intro.
Why?
It's the quintessential sneaker show.
Quintessential sneaker show. High praise? That's high praise, right?
Yeah, Welty is quoting here from the judge's order in the Mischief Vans lawsuit, in which the Complex Sneakers Podcast. Sorry, I gotta explain, but the episode with Mischief CCO Lucas Bentel was submitted as evidence and then used and referenced as the quintessential sneakerhead show. Actually, I don't know if it was the or a. That's been an important difference, right?
It was
the quintessential sneaker show or a quintessential. I don't know.
Can there be something that's just a quintessential? Isn't quintessential mean like it's the one?
Right.
I don't know if quintessential is as restrictive as that, but maybe. But we'll take the praise.
Yeah.
And he jumped his introduction, but to my left.
I just sorry.
Couldn't wait. He sniffs a court document. He doesn't need any introduction. Goes right to it. Mr. Brendan Dunn. Welcome.
Big Poppy Pacer himself. Yeah, that's right. I'm here.
Was that one of the most like full circle moments for your career? Like your work
Which one?
Well, I'm just saying the fact that like your work gets submitted into the court doc into an actual legal case itself.
I'm glad we were in the conversation. You know, I'm happy about it. I'm surprised, but
Listen, there's a lot going on in sneakers. A lot.
and in life in general.
Okay. Like what?
I mean, for us Giants fans.
Oh,
Yes.
Welty, did you know I'm a New York Giants fan?
yes, I heard.
Kayvon Thibodeau,
Big.
Oregon's own.
Big.
Big man, big impact for my squad.
Came through the
My New York Giants.
Came through the training center with the threes already.
You see, I kind of have some Giants colors on today. Are these Giants colors that I'm wearing on any level?
I think those shoes are
The shoes are a
orange.
little bit.
Close?
You're kind of like the top looks like Miami Hurricanes. It's not. You didn't really.
I am colorblind, of course.
The Miami Hurricanes on top, and then kind of like a Giants Philadelphia 76ers.
Welty, am I
on
anywhere
bottom.
close?
Kind of. I have a hard time telling if that's red or if that's like a solar color.
On my sneakers?
Yeah.
How are you
I certainly
welcoming
don't
him
know.
to New York City? You guys doing an Avenue welcome party? Cipriani dinner? What?
Maybe we should bring him out for the Glizzy tour in Jersey. Since
That would be a good welcome,
the Giants
right?
do play.
Technically, were you gonna like take him or like on a food tour of the American Dream Mall?
What is that?
The American Dream Mall. It's right next to MetLife. That's where you did isn't it right next to where
Glizzies?
you did the sneaker event?
Oh, that sneaker event I went to a couple weeks ago. Sorry. Oh, you're right. Paul, I'm sorry. PG knows. Did mention that was near that mall. Is that a mall of note? Is it a good mall?
It's like a big mall. It took like 30 years for them to finally make it, but
Oh, okay.
You going to be on the sideline with me with the jersey? Are you going to get a Giants jersey? Do you ever wear jerseys or no?
Oh,
I don't
my
think.
God.
Have I ever seen him in jerseys?
I own a couple jerseys, but I really don't wear them.
Are you the type to put Dunn on the back, or it's a player?
Honestly, I think most of the jerseys I've owned in my life have had my name on the back because it's something where a sportswear brand or a team reaches out to you and says, we'd love to get you a custom thing.
yeah, I definitely have gotten that. I mean, I don't wear the jerseys, but I've also regrettably been like, why did I put my last name on it? 'Cause
Yeah.
It just seems kind of weird walking around with.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little
do
bit.
Do you have any jerseys with your name on them, Joe? You must.
You definitely have like a Brooklyn Nets jersey that got
I
sent
have.
to you.
I have a couple classics. Not gonna lie. I have the Washington Bullets Michael Jordan authentic.
With your name on it?
No, Jordan.
Uh-huh.
Not with my name. I have the S. Carter Brooklyn Nets jersey.
Yeah.
Which was.
Do you have the Givenchy Birds of Paradise one?
No, I don't have that one.
Okay.
I had a Jeremy Shockey authentic Giants jersey.
Okay.
He was number 80, and then our
course.
friend
Victor
took
Cruz?
over Victor Cruz, number 80. But
I thought you were
yeah.
going to say our friend Rudy Calderon.
No,
I know. That very much sounded
I
like
was
that
with
setup,
Rudy
right?
Whenever you tell
Yeah.
us to fill in the blank, that's always the answer.
Yeah.
I was with Rudy Calderon this weekend, though, at the Bayshore track,
You
Yeah.
should
You running?
You see
walking.
Vic's fit the other day sitting courtside.
Yeah,
next
with
to
the
Pecas.
Victor.
He had the Victor jacket,
Gucci.
the Gucci pants, the Victor socks,
This
Yep.
is Victor Cruz or
Yeah.
Victor?
What was he, New Balance?
and then the
Teddy New Balances?
yeah.
Yeah, that boy goes off. Him and, I mean, you're not even going to say who he was
Our
sitting
friend
with?
Pecas.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
Pecas.
That's what I said.
Oh, I didn't hear him.
I
Sorry.
said, yeah.
Yeah, Pecas and Vic, courtside at the Nets. They were at the Yankee game,
You don't get invited to that?
Week before, I was in a suite actually. he tried to play me, but
Correct the record
sorry,
immediately.
I wasn't courtside, but I was in a suite.
At the Yankees game.
Nope, Nets game. We talked about it.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I'm sorry.
Did you get invited to it?
No.
Okay. You know, I mean,
Did you wear the custom jersey?
no,
Oh, weird.
no Nets.
You're such
I
a
brought
big
Al
Nets-
though to the Nets game, and Al wore a Kyrie Irving jersey in the suite, which is great, but also you're in a suite. You're not like in the fan thing. You know?
Act like you've been there before.
Yeah,
type of thing.
a little bit. We know you love
Okay.
Kyrie, but come on, man. The jersey.
Oh boy, what else is happening, Joe?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot happening. F1 week in Miami.
Yeah,
Hopefully heading out there.
are you going to be attending that? Will you be in a suite for that event?
I don't know. I don't have any plans. I feel like once I'm there, maybe.
Are you among the Tifosi?
What?
That's what they call the Ferrari supporters.
Oh.
You know, it's an Italian word. I think the word just means supporters in general in Italian, so it can be for a variety of sports. But at this point, I think it refers more specifically to the Ferrari F1 fans.
Are you going to be watching?
Yeah.
So what is it like? Is it all day Saturday, Sunday, or what's the deal?
Yeah, qualifying should be on Saturday, and then the race itself will be on Sunday.
You're going to Miami as well?
No, I'm not going to be there. No. Ben Felderstein is there.
He's been there. Ben Felderstein, I told him, every other week he's in Miami, it seems now.
Weird. Complex.
It's either at the Met game or Miami. What a life. What a life.
But who are you supporting? Who are you?
Lewis
who are you pulling
Hamilton,
for? Okay.
always.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Fine with me.
I mean, I don't know.
They're not very good this year. It looks like.
It's okay. Underdogs.
I don't know.
We always root for the underdogs. Always have.
The underdogs and the hot dogs.
What else is going on?
I think, what was in the comments? I think the new nickname is JLP, the Glizzy Gladiator.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen,
You seem a little bit unwilling to step up to this.
it was a joke, and now
That's become your personal brand.
yeah, the brand is becoming hardcore rollerblading and a Glizzy Gladiator. Listen, it was good for a couple episodes, but let's pump
You wanna
the brakes.
retire it?
No. Let's
Pump
pump
the brakes like
though.
Lewis
do you-
Hamilton
what do you-
coming into the pit.
A little bit. Pump the brakes.
What
a
are you
little
doing if like Hebrew National like reaches out to you and wants to sign you to
Insta
a year
sign.
to a year long
Insta
No hesitation.
Insta agreement.
And what does that look like for you? Are you going to give them a couple in-feed posts? Are you willing to appear on a
In-feed's tough.
packaging?
In-feed's
Would you appear
tough.
on a hot dog packaging?
Would you recreate the Michael Jordan ballpark Frank commercial?
Yes. Yes. Yep. I would do a hot dog sponsorship. Can you imagine that?
We're imagining it right now. We could have you out in Coney Island.
Imagine
Coney Island, me and Nems.
Yeah.
just like
Frank your life.
Don't
You like that?
give that away for
just
free.
like getting that like like your doorbell rings and like twice so you know it's like a package that you have to sign for or whatever and you get like I'm sure we've all had like people have delivered food or whatever
Yeah.
and it comes in the cooler.
Yeah, styrofoam thing
Yeah.
with the dry ice in
and
it.
Your dry ice, yep.
Yeah, you just get like 100 packages of hot dogs.
Year supply.
What am I gonna do with this?
I like how we said
Year
pump the brakes
supply.
and we went all the way in.
I know exactly.
Joe
You're
LaBlue
just
being a hot
furthering,
dog influencer.
furthering.
You could do like you go like Forrest Gump style and like just figure out like all the different recipes.
Like
for-
bubblegum shrimp, you mean?
Yeah. You could be like chop up the hot dogs, cook them in your eggs in the morning.
Oh God, that
Can I talk about? Oh no, that wasn't
you
hot
could
dogs.
talk about anything else. than
That was spam.
You could talk about anything else.
Are
Than
you a
this.
spam fan? The
Not
musubi?
really.
No.
No.
Well, did you eat any spam growing up?
No.
My mom had this one spam dish that I really liked, and it sounds gnarly, but I'm gonna say it, and I would still eat it to this day. It was cubed cheese,
Okay.
peas,
Oof.
mayonnaise, and
done.
spam.
Done. That sounds.
It's fucking
No judgment,
good.
but that sounds.
It's fucking good.
Was it melted?
The cheese?
Yeah.
No, it was just cubed. It was like a cold. It was a cold thing. I think we would eat it.
It was almost like a ham salad.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. This is what people come to this podcast for, right?
I know it's been too much food. Sorry, guys.
Can we talk
That's
about...
okay though because there's a lot of sneaker talk we're getting to.
Yes,
So
yes.
stick with us.
Yes. Also, Joe, I wanted to bring up, did you see our friend Premium Pete's big feature?
Yes, but he deserved the cover. I was waiting to talk about that.
Okay, this is in the National Italian American Foundation magazine. And you felt Pete deserved to cover?
Yep.
Have you
Whatever I saw. Congratulations to him. You know, he's in Florida with Aunt Barb.
Oh, yeah.
And getting so many fits off. Aunt Barb.
Big shout out to Aunt Barb.
Fort Lauderdale.
And
They're
Mama
in Fort
Premium.
Lauderdale. Pete.
Taking the cane into the pool. That was
Just a vacation that like you would try to piggyback on, even though you're not part of the
my
family.
God.
Like, I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale that time too. But I saw him in the magazine. But we got to get him a cover.
Did he beat you there first?
I know, that's what I wanted to know.
It's not a competition.
Have
What,
you
with
ever
the
been
Ita-
featured in the
in
magazine?
the Italian magazine?
Yeah, it's
No.
NIAF, National Italian American Foundation.
No, but
magazine.
that's
Card carrying member?
It's a win. You know, some people say like, oh, you know, a win for my brother is a win for me, or they're BSing. No, that's a win for us.
Yeah.
It's a win for us. Shouts to Premium Pete.
Maybe we could do like an old school complex style. Remember when they used to have the flip covers, one person on the front and one on the back? We could have you on one side and
And Barb
Premium.
on the next. No, it was, wait.
Yeah,
it was a
right,
man
right.
and a
'cause it was
woman,
a man
yeah.
and a woman,
Okay. Yeah. No, me and Premium Pete will do we'll recreate what? Uncle Junior and Nas?
Yeah.
All right.
Set it up.
Classic. Wow. 11 minutes in. All over the place. This is
You know
what
my-
you come
one of
for.
my
Every
favorite-
Friday, this is what you come for.
One of my favorite tidbits from that I don't know why this sticks in my head, but from a classic JLP
Here we go.
interview.
Wait,
Here we go.
can you explain his outfit at the time first?
I don't remember. This was this print. We're talking about print.
Okay.
Okay.
Katy Perry?
Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
When you were there was a tidbit where you were talking to her about Harry Potter.
Yes. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
big into Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That made major news. She said something like, I see ghosts, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It was
Yeah,
like
Ariana.
it was one of
She
those
sees
tidbits
ghosts?
you like maybe weren't expecting,
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
interview
yeah.
at the time, and you mentioned like Hogwarts or something like that.
You
Was that
just
right?
casually threw in the Hogwarts reference?
Was that right? Or
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not saying I wasn't saying it's wrong, but it was just like the unexpected, like
You asked her what her Patronus was? What-
See, I don't.
Speaking of
I
Lewis
don't even
Hamilton,
have.
that's
I don't even
Mercedes
have
AMG,
good.
baby.
I don't even have a good answer because I have no idea what they're. Sometimes I just have no idea
did
what
someone
they're
like
talking about.
was that one of those lines where like someone's like you got to ask her about
Maybe,
this.
maybe.
That's history right there.
Yeah. Listen, the things that get picked up.
And that was a long time
It's her
ago.
first. It was one of her first covers, I believe. Yep.
She was
Do they
like
still
18,
talk?
19 at the time or something. Yeah.
Do you still talk?
Don't know. Ariana's family, I think, is from South Florida, though.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Italy.
No,
Is she not Italian?
she's Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know,
So
I was just
maybe she could be on the flip with you
well,
on
I
the
was just
cover.
closing the circle. I was
the
closing.
magazine.
I was closing the circle with Premium Pete. Oh God!
Someone's like going off the rails. You're like, there's
This
so
is
much sneaker.
really- this
There's
is
so
really-
much sneaker
Yeah,
talk.
I have to
this
keep
week.
saying it because I promise. There's a lot of sneaker talk. Well, you guys know more than me.
Yeah, I'm a little hungry though.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you order food?
Yeah.
We got to get off the food. All right. We really do.
The real
Really
question
do.
is though that people really need to know: is it mustard or ketchup on a hot dog?
Both sometimes.
There's a lot of people out there who think mustard is. that ketchup is sacrilegious.
I'm a sauerkraut guy. I usually
I do mustard and sauerkraut.
growing up, do people want to know?
Yeah.
Growing up, I never really
This is guys.
I never really put ketchup or mustard on my hot dog.
So when I do multiple, I do sauerkraut.
You
mustard,
just like sighed. You just had a deep
sauerkraut.
sigh about us.
I mean, I'm
And
gonna
you're
say
like, I'm not getting out of here
if
without
you-
explaining my
it
fucking
seemed-
condiment
I've
setup.
tried to get off
Talk
this.
about the loadout.
I've
Yeah.
tried to get off this. Clearly, we're not getting off this. But I would do probably 2 sauerkraut and mustard, and then one ketchup
Oh
mustard.
my goodness. Should we give these sneakers
Let's give
away?
away sneakers. Let's give away sneakers. It's time.
Joe, this is a shoe that you picked out, right?
Yes.
We are giving away a pair of sneakers, as we always do with the good people at eBay Sneakers. If you go to ebay.complex.com, you can enter to win. How you do that is, first of all, you got to be in America. I don't know if you have to be from America, but you got to love this goddamn country enough to have a shipping address in it.
Wow. Okay.
And you submit a question for us to answer here on the air. If we pick your question, if we answer your question, we are going to send you a free pair of sneakers, courtesy of eBay.
Yes.
And we are picking out some special sneakers. And Joe, you picked out the sneaker this week. What do we have? I see a silver box.
Silver box era 2004. Mm-hmm. Carhartt Dunk SB.
Great shoe.
Great shoe.
They
feel
also
like-
did a black pair as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
did a
right.
black
Yeah,
pair.
yeah.
I feel like the brown is more of the Carhartt DNA, though.
Yeah, I like that.
Just like, workman type.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like you could beat these up.
Yeah, go to the factory.
Yeah,
Long day in the timber mill or something.
exactly. Whatever you, well, yeah.
Saw a meme today right before we came in here, and it says everybody wants Carhartt this, Carhartt that, until they have to do some Carhartt shit.
That's an old meme, though. That's an old meme.
I mean, there's like I feel like there's like
Yeah, I know.
endless like
Permutations
Carhartt.
of it. Yeah. Did you guys wear a lot of Carhartt growing up?
No, but I've been wearing a lot of Carhartt.
I remember
lately.
my first trip to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
When I lost my passport, a story that we've chronicled
Yep.
on here before, and then I had
2015 or
yes,
something.
when I went to, I had to go to London to get my temporary passport,
Sure.
thanks to the good folks at New Balance.
Thank you.
And I remember walking around, and that was like my first time, shopping abroad and kind of like getting to see stuff that you never had bought before.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, it like the Carhartt Whip or like the Carhartt Europe or whatever was
Yeah.
like you couldn't really. I don't think they had opened the store in New York yet, and it was like
Oh, really?
harder to get,
Yeah.
And I remember just going into like size and buying like a European Carhartt parka jacket that like wasn't the same ones you can get at like Walmart.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, oh, this is so awesome.
Yeah. It was never for me. You know what? It still has the aura that it had for me when I was in high school, which was like everybody who was a hick had their Carhartt jacket. It
Okay.
was like legitimately a group
I haven't heard that term in a while.
Really? I mean, it's
No,
such a-
in a while. I mean.
Yeah. It's such a salient figure for where I grew up in North Idaho.
It's like
But yeah,
the sort of like the one kid who had like the jacked up like pickup truck.
for sure, exactly that. But not one kid. Like there were many kids.
Yeah.
Like it was like I think it was a group called the Carhartt Mafia, and I don't know.
Really?
I don't know if they had designated themselves that, but it was like, yeah, these are all the the types. Also, if I may, to maybe have a Confederate flag on the back of the truck or something like that. So I never wore Carhartt growing up, and I still have that association with it now, and for that reason.
You wouldn't be wearing these? Is that what you're saying?
Were you big into the Mafia dunks? Speaking of,
No. I didn't like those.
Italian heritage.
I didn't like those, really.
they had like the horn on the.
I remember, like I've said it before, Special Sauce did an amazing window display.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But you didn't like the shoes.
I wasn't into the shoes that much. It was black patent leather and then the lows.
Black low top and white high top,
Well,
which
white,
I believe our coworker Mike DiStefano has
Yeah,
a pair
alright.
of.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another prominent Italian American.
A lot of Italian talk.
sneakered scene. Okay, so we are giving these away to Michael Shuck in Torrance, California. And Michael said, I have a pair of Jordan 1 Royals that I bought new in 1985 for $65.
Woof.
Love that.
Congrats.
And he said, would you do a soul swap and continue wearing them or retire them and keep them original?
How cooked are they? I think that's the most important question. He's saying you bought them new.
That's what he's saying. I bought new in 1985 for $65.
So, what I would say is, I don't think you're ever going to wear a pair of 1985 Jordan 1s every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, at this point, I would just keep them original.
And you're wearing 1985 Jordan.
I am
right
wearing
now.
1985.
Oh, those are 85s.
These are 85 Jordan 1s.
Because you also have. Oh, that's a different one. You have
94s.
Yeah.
Chicago's. But yeah, I am wearing 1985 red Jordan 1. Shouts to Curated Van. He sourced these for me. Slippery.
Yes.
Little slippery, but
Yes.
Oh, the rubber like.
I could just
dries
tell
and
I'm
it's
looking
like-
at the camera right now. Really good condition, I would say, for 85s.
Yeah. They look way better than mine.
I bought these.
Yours are cooked.
Yeah. For
I
sure.
I was inspired by Yachty. Yachty has that 1985 wall that
Yeah.
Curated Van helped get a lot
Jordan
of those shoes.
1s.
Yeah, all Jordan 1s. So that's what I would say. If it's a Jordan 1, you're not going to wear every day, I don't think. I will only wear for like special occasions. But that's why I would keep them original, but also each his own. You want to do a soul swap?
I agree
Do a
with you
soul
here,
swap.
Joe. I agree. And I think Welty is aligned with me on this point.
You agree?
I mean, especially the Jordan 1, I feel like
Just
that's not a
keep it.
sneaker that we see crumbling a lot. Like, there are
Yeah.
certain shoes from that era where I can understand it,
For sure.
Jordan 3 or Jordan 4, something with the air bubble. Or
But at that point, it's like
Just keep them.
just keep it as like
A display.
as a display piece, because at that point you're almost like eroding history at some point.
Yeah, like you're erasing the original thing that was
because
attached
obviously
there.
you can't wear it. It always makes me wonder because I guess like in the early 2000s, those kind of like restoration shows were like a big thing on TV, where someone would buy like I don't know, like
Pimp My Ride?
kind of, but I guess I don't
was
know.
a
It's on like
joke, but
Discovery
okay.
Channel where there'd always people would buy like these like 1950s like fuel pumps, and they would get like they'd be this old rusted out one, and then they would get all new parts for it, and then kind of like it would still technically be the 1950s gas pump that they want to put on display, but at this point it's been so like manipulated that it looks
bastardized,
that it looks brand new.
Yeah,
where like, is it really still like
in essence that thing that it was, or that
yeah,
you
it's
wanted,
like how much? Because I've seen a lot of that stuff online now, where it's like I think a couple weeks ago there was one that went viral where like someone had restored a pair of Tiffany Dunks. Did you see that video?
No, I missed that.
There was I wouldn't be into that.
There was a pair of Tiffany Dunks that
yes, because they flake a lot on the swoosh, right?
They were like cooked, and he like actually made a new swoosh.
No, I did see that. That was kind of cool.
Well,
but where do you draw the line where it's
so
like,
here's what I would say.
agree.
I just said I wouldn't do that, restore the Tiffany Dunks, but I did restore the Slam City skates.
So you're a liar.
So hypocritical a little bit.
A little bit. I would
A
say
lot
more
of
than
it.
because I think, and here's
So like that's so you know so I just think though 1985s are different because again I think like it's almost cool that they're
worn a bit,
worn
that
and
shoe's
falling
not, you
apart.
don't see
Yeah.
those falling apart really. Like,
But here's the thing that like gets me is that I know we've had this conversation on here before. Like we always talk about this before.
yeah,
But the one thing is like an Air Max 95, right?
Sure.
Yep.
So you take an Air Max 95, and the reason people want the older pairs, which you can't wear, is they have the huge honking air
Yes.
bubble on it that will never exist again in that form. But the shoe's going to crumble if you wear it, right?
right.
But if you sole swap it, you have a pair of neon 95s that you sole swap, and you put the
Right.
small bubble on it with
So
the
it's like,
original
what's the
upper.
point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just buy a new pair and wear them instead of being like, these are actually 1996s, like.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
I guess is there something to say that maybe I'm for restoring pairs that are like almost defective, not old?
Okay.
Is that something to
I
like
see
what
what
do you
you're
mean by
saying.
that?
so like if the Tiffany Dunk was worn and old, I wouldn't restore it.
But if it was
like
a dead stock pair that nobody ever got to wear and somehow it was falling apart,
that's like the
those
Slam City. Like
skates. Yeah.
I never wore them. I wore them once, and it like so. But again, like I said, up to it's your sneakers. You do what you want with them. Jordan 1s, 85s. I would keep as it's their memorabilia at this point.
Yeah.
to me,
and
especially you got them for $65. That's amazing.
but also I would say wear them. I don't think they're not going to fall apart. Like,
Yeah.
You also don't know what condition they're in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if he bought them in 1985, they could be
They
like,
always
like the rusted out floorboards.
they always talk about this. What is this? The heel
the collar, the flaking around the collar,
And
for
the cracking, that's another thing, yeah.
But that's the thing that's not
Get
really
all
going to
brittle.
affect the wearability of the shoe.
Yeah.
For sure. And like I have that super beat pair and I wear those all the time. And like you said, Welty, the rubber on the bottom is all gone. Joe, I'm sure you feel the same way about your pair, but there's like no stars left. I can slide around. I can
Yep.
fucking ice skate on
It's like
those
wearing a
things.
Hender scheme.
Like there was one where I don't know if we had spoken about the one time of the week our friend Paul PG was trying to trying to sell a pair of it was an Air Max 95 sample.
Okay.
I believe it was like a denim sample or something like that.
Oh, not an original 1995 pair.
No, I think or it may have been like a 1998 pair or something
okay.
like that, but it was like an OG-ish
Yeah.
Air Max 95 that was a sample from Nike.
Yeah.
And he would be like, "Oh, they're perfect for a sole swap." And I'm like, "If it's a sample shoe, they only made 2 pairs of back from
Yeah,
like
and
the
you
90s. It's
soul
like,
swap it?
why are you
Like,
going to soul swap that shoe? Just buy
deleting
it,
it from history
Yes.
like that? Yeah,
So just
no.
keep
Come on,
it in a
PG.
box and have it."
Do I have to give PG the
like finger
Reese?
wag.
Do I have to bring it to PG again? He didn't learn from last
my
week.
goodness.
Classic.
Okay, so we're giving these away to Michael Schuck, Carhartt, Nike SB Dunks.
A shoe that you won't have to soul swap. You could beat up, and Carhartt
Yes, sir.
built tough. That's Ford.
Go to your
Built
blue
tough.
factory.
Built tough is Ford, but Carhartt also built tough.
Go to your blue collar factory job in those. Absolutely. By the way, we mentioned that Joe is wearing his 1985 Air Jordan 1s. Joe, as we talk about the shoes we're wearing this week, that's a very
Ceremonious.
that's
why I
a
wore
very
'em.
intentional choice from
Yes.
you, right?
Yes, it is. And I think wanted to wear the 1985 Jordan 1s because we obviously have to talk about the passing of Peter Moore, the legendary designer of the Jordan 1 and the Jordan Jumpman logo
Yep.
In Nike Dunk.
Yep.
and the Nike Dunk.
And so much more. Yeah.
And so much more. And that's why I wanted to wear these this week. I felt that it was the right time to wear these.
Yeah, we want to talk about Peter Moore a decent amount on the show. Peter is a legendary designer, worked at both Nike and Adidas, creative director of both brands, had a huge influence. He died this past week.
Yeah.
We learned about the news on Friday, and the reports were circulating on Saturday. So I think it's important to have some space to talk about what he did in the industry.
Absolutely, and his legacy will live on, obviously, and we see, like we keep saying, how relevant the designs that he designed decades and decades ago are today. And I think it's important to paint, even for a private guy, to paint as much as we know about his story. And I'm looking forward to reading your story.
Sure. I mean, all these cool little details about, like, he was the first person to work. Even when he was a leader at the company, he was there at 5 a.m. or 6. Wow. Like, I talked to one guy who was trying to beat him to work, and he could never beat him to work because Peter was always there before the sun came up, and also that he was riding his bike to work in that time. And this is a guy who was already very powerful and accomplished in the sneaker industry, just riding his bike to work. I mean, for decades, he was making these Christmas cards that he would screen print himself, and there were doves that he illustrated on the Christmas cards.
Wow.
He would send these Christmas cards out to friends and family and people in the industry, and they would kind of be, I think, again, these are things I'm told by people who knew him, a reflection on things that happened throughout the year. And I think he sent out his last one this past December. So,
wow.
yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Peter Moore. Legendary career. And I want to kick it off. I like this topic because, like, we have, not that Jordan and Adidas, but, like, you guys both, you have a very, not close connection, but, like, from product-wise, what his work with Adidas, and then I know you from the Nike standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to talk about. And Welty has a sneaker on, too, that was also a choice.
Adidas EQT. Also another Peter Moore. I don't know if he designed this shoe per se, but this was like the era of him that he ushered in at Adidas. It's funny because Peter Moore went from doing the Air Jordan 1, Nike Dunk, and I'm sure he worked on other product too at Nike as well, and then leaving, around the whole time with Rob Strasser.
Yep.
His partner, right?
Yeah. The whole, if you go read, was it Swoosh, the unauthorized
Sure.
story of Nike, there's like a lot of information in on that. But he goes to Adidas early 90s. Adidas was on the verge of going out of business. In the early 90s, I think they were going to file bankruptcy or did. I'm not 100% sure. But he goes there, and I guess what he did was a bit controversial at the time because, as people know, Adidas had the trefoil logo, which looks like the plant.
Yep.
And he stripped that from the brand, and now which is called like the mountain logo, which is like the slanted.
Yeah, those Adidas 3 bars.
Yeah. So he starts it with the EQT line, and there's always like with Adidas collectors, there's kind of like a firm line that's drawn in the ground where it's like if you talk to like someone like Gary Austin, I think there's interviews with him who's obviously been on our podcast, but it took him a while to even appreciate the EQT stuff because he felt like when that did, it was such like a division between this history of the brand with the trefoil and then the history of the brand going forward with like the mountain.
When you get to the 90s, like that stuff.
It's like 2 different eras.
Yeah.
He had said though he realized that he finally got to the point where like he started to appreciate like the EQT stuff because that's like the earliest part of the history. There was a quote from like a video where they were talking about when they re-released EQT like in the early 2010s, and he was talking about it, and he said, "We called it equipment because the word equipment, at least in America, is a sort of no bullshit word. You don't have a piece of equipment to have fun with. You have a piece of equipment to do something with."
Yeah.
Which I always thought that was like such a great like footwear quote because the original EQT line, they made a shoe for like every different sport.
Right.
There was like a hiking shoe, a handball shoe, a race walking shoe.
Super functional stuff.
Yeah, badminton shoe where it's like they had the idea that Adi Dassler was the equipment manager for the world.
Right.
So they wanted to make different pieces of equipment that everyone could do. So that was his idea when he went to Adidas, and I think that I don't know, it's just like one of those things that's forever inspired me. In footwear, we all find these little nuggets that we latch on to.
Yeah.
And I remember writing a story, like I think it was 50 Things You Didn't Know About Adidas, and I had to research all of it. I remember finding all those.
God, what a great, keep your thought, but I would read that feed. We got to bring back some stuff like that.
Yeah. But having to like
no,
research
that
it.
stuff is
that stuff's good.
Having to research it
tough.
and then like but then finding all these like reading all these old interviews and all that sort of stuff and just finding like factual nuggets that you can kind of extrapolate.
You got mad at us for the 50 ones.
Yeah. But that was one of the moments where I'm like, it really inspired me in our work because there's a lot of stuff you do that you kind of, you just do it,
Sure.
Kind of go through the motions. But I was like, this is what I really like in footwear.
Yeah.
And it was that Peter Moore moment.
Yeah.
Just to have two logos, like, it's essentially, I always say, like, you think of like Tinker, like, oh, he has the hit with the Air Max 1 or the Air Max 1987, and they're like, do it again. And then Peter designs the Jordan 1 and the Jumpman logo, and then Adidas is like, do it again with another logo. And it's like to just have those two.
Like to create branding is like so much harder.
So much
even
harder
to create than just product itself.
That's exactly what I'm like. The logos,
you
like,
only get one crack at it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that. Sorry, I want to mention real quick. The shoes I'm wearing because I feel like this is not really connected to Peter Moore in any direct way. This is Adidas Adi Zero Boston 10, but it's almost like I'm trying to be respectful of his legacy and that I'm wearing like an innovative performance type shoe. We have the OG thing, we have the retro one, and then I'm doing the innovation thing. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about with Peter Moore, and I think one of the interesting things, Welty, that you mentioned is like his brand work. So like Peter Moore, and I'm working on writing something about him, so I've been talking to a lot of people who worked with him in the 80s and 90s. So one of the interesting things I think is that there's not a lot of sneakers you connect directly to him, and I think part of that is because like he wasn't totally a sneaker designer more than just like a designer in general,
like a creative director.
Exactly, sort of? Like he was creative director for Nike Design in the 80s, and then I think played a similar role at Adidas America in the early 90s before Rob Strasser died, and then Peter Moore took over. But to me, he was kind of more like the steward overall of what the brand meant and how the brand should look visually and how to convince people like this is what the brand is and this is like why it's important, or like make those emotional connections.
No, I'm just saying it's interesting because you mentioned that, and he had said that because you talk about the EQT line, it's like the green is like what it's known for, but there's green, and then there's other shoes that were red, and then there was some shoes that were blue, and I think that those were like lesser known throughout the line. But he had said that even though the color became the dominating
identifier or signifier,
design language of the shoe, that was like the last thing that they considered when creating the product,
because color has no function in the actual like performance aspect of a piece of footwear or of a piece of design.
I think it's also really important to point out that you said obviously the Jordan 1 and the Dunk. There's never been, I mean, has there been a more, what's the word? Has there been a time where both shoes have been more prevalent than they are now?
Oh, for sure.
Think about it. The
Never
Jordan,
before,
the Jordan 1, like, I go down YouTube rabbit holes a lot, and like a lot of them are unboxing, and it's a lot of like resell stores counting their inventory. It's all Jordan 1s and Dunks. We talk about the black and white.
It's like the
Dunk,
whole wall.
Yeah,
it's all.
When I was at Urban Necessities in Vegas over New Year's, he had a whole separate room just for the Jordan 1 stock.
and it's to see. I think that it's important, and I'm looking forward to the thing that you're writing, and I think it's really important to, talk about Peter's legacy and relate it to some of like maybe the young kids who may not know who was behind these two. More than two, but like these two very prevalent sneakers
and
that
that's the
today.
Thing. It's just like a blip. I don't want to say blip. That's minimizing it too much. But like he did so much more than that. Again, you think about him being like the creative director at Nike. So like LA Olympics 1984. Like he helped create all that visual language for that. And then I talked to Sonny Vaccaro about how Peter was involved in Adidas after Rob Strasser died, and he said, Peter was involved in the Kobe deal and helping Kobe be established at Adidas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I know I'm going to mention like a lot of random sneaker industry names that people might not know, so they should look them up. But one of the interesting things too is like Rob Strasser was very much, I'm told, Peter's partner in all these things, and they left Nike late 80s, and they were going to start their own company. They started their own company, and they were such a powerful duo that they had even Donald Katz says this in the book Just Do It. They were trying to get Michael Jordan to sign to their new brand. They
what
were
was
trying
the name
to
of the brand again?
Sorry, Van Grack.
Yes.
And there was a moment like that's how powerful they were. Where they were trying to convince Michael Jordan, like, look, we can do that same thing for you again. And then him setting that tone for Air Jordan and doing all that stuff at Nike, and then being like, okay, Adidas is nowhere, and I'm going to do it again at Adidas. But I mentioned Rob Strasser to say that when Rob died in the 90s at Adidas, like that was even another part where Peter Moore had to step up and then kind of fill this void. And they were very much like complements to each other, as I understand it. Again, I've never talked to Peter Moore, but I've spent a lot of hours over the past couple of days talking to people who worked closely with him in the 80s and 90s. And he's described to me as mostly like a calm, quiet guy, very much a private person. And I think this is connected too to how little we know about Peter Moore, because if you think about a lot of other sneaker designers of similar accomplishment or designers of footwear industry, like you can conjure an image of Tinker, you can hear Tinker's voice in your head, or somebody like Stephen Smith, or even Sonny Vaccaro, who's fought for his credit for a long time. It seems to me like Peter Moore was just interested in doing the work, and for that reason didn't spend a lot of time chasing the credit or establishing himself. He's been retired for 20 years or something. He could have easily like been everywhere calling himself the Air Jordan 1 guy, but he was, it seems to me from descriptions of other people that like he wasn't that interested in that. But he didn't care about titles, he didn't care about the credit.
I think I mean when this had happened, because I mean obviously we knew who, being like in the footwear industry, you know who Peter Moore is, but it's, I don't want to say funny, but it's like you said, like the Air Jordan 1 and the Dunk, like the two most like popular, like mainstream, like casual
retro
shoes, where it's like people collecting those necessarily aren't like super deep into sneaker knowledge world, just on a like just like a mainstream
surface.
So when like he passed away, I was just like, how many people actually know who he was, like by name, like the percentage wise? And I'm like, I don't know if people are going to recognize until if they actually go and read the caption that he was the guy who designed the Air Jordan 1 and the Dunk, that they're going to recognize that, oh, Peter Moore passed away. They feel like more of like an insider.
Yeah. But that's what's interesting to me is like even beyond the name, like I feel like we hadn't up to this point known much about his character, because I feel like he was a private guy or a quiet guy, so yeah. What else? There's so much stuff.
I mean, go ahead. I know.
We got to talk about.
We got to talk about Marcus.
Hold on.
I was gonna say we got to talk about everyone's favorite sneaker
reseller.
Yeah.
So that's bubbling. That's obviously bubbling up again. When we recorded last week, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't.
Not that it hadn't come to light, but like these are all like old, from like a year plus ago.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, so.
Was it a year anniversary or something?
No. So when the Trophy Room Air Jordan 1 release first happened in 2021, I came to the conclusion that the release was compromised. And Complex as a site pretty much came to that conclusion in a piece I wrote. And we talked about it plenty back then. And I kind of thought that eventually maybe Marcus Jordan could live this stuff down. But boy, was I wrong, because this past week, these things came back up when I think it was kind of connected to Ben Kicks posting the Union Jordan 2 photos, and then the Marcus Jordan backdooring conversations.
Well, I think that it was starting to bubble up to the surface too, because he's reopening Trophy Room. And then there was kind of like a procedure of people camping out for the shoes, and I don't want to 100% say, but there was like photos that people were talking about of like people who were getting access to some of the stock before the people waiting in line.
Very much so. And so now we have all these photos, I don't think circulated last year, but what look like, photos of the backdoor release, the infamous backdoor release from last year. They're spicy photos, and they hit Twitter, and everybody's talking about it, and I understand why people want us to talk about it, even though I felt like, again, like to me,
you reported on it.
Yeah, I mean, like we spent a lot of time on it last year. Point. Yeah, and there's a lot of crazy, conflicting, spicy stories popping up, and I just didn't feel like there was anything new and substantial, because, like I said, we came to the conclusion last year that Marcus Jordan backdoored the Trophy Room Jordan 1s, and the release was compromised. So I still believe that.
Well, the photos were apparently that he had met up with people at a Marriott?
Yeah, hotel, right?
And then the shoes were on
on like the dolly, like the bellhop thing. Yeah. I mean, The interesting thing too is like I feel like it's important to say that when you have a lot of these stories coming out, not all of them are going to be true. And when all the stories are conflicting about how the sneakers are coming out, not all of them are going to be true. And that's the same thing when we talked about this last year and when I was reporting on it, where like a lot of the things people were saying, I just had to ignore them because like these people can't all be accurate in what they're claiming, right? But in those details aside, it was clear to us then that like the shoes had been backdoored. So I'm kind of confused as to why people are talking about it again, but I know because it feels like a slap in the face and you're reminded of this thing. And I'm like
the only reality that it could be is either all these shoes are backdoored or all these shoes are fake. You know, it can only be one of the two.
Yeah.
You know, where that's what it is. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I was just like, look, I'm not saying that the photos circulating online right now are not an accurate depiction of what happened. I don't know. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but again, to me, it just doesn't change that much because I already felt like everybody, you know, so
I don't want to make light of it, but I feel like sometimes there's always so much misinformation that starts to spread off of these, and it's everyone on Twitter in your mentions, you know, like they get like a little piece of the story and then somehow apply it blanket to everything in sneakers.
Yeah.
You know, like the Ben Kicks thing last week in the comments, I think the top rated comment on our YouTube episode was someone talking about, you know, Ben being able to get the shoes directly from Nike or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, we saw the same thing with Annie Bear's son, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that, yeah.
But literally, that's not what happened with Annie Bear's son, Joe, at all. What happened was that he had access to her discount and went to a bunch of outlet stores and used it at a mass quantity and was reselling Vapor Maxes.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting backdoored 14 size runs of a hype sneaker.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was kind of annoyed that people wanted us to talk about it a bunch, but I do think we have to remember that it's like a privilege and an honor that people care about our opinion enough to be like, you're the one who have to hold people accountable.
Definitely, and I also we got so many ads like, are you going to talk about this? Are you going to talk about this? And I do think that, you know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I do think that it goes to kind of what we talked about last week, where, man, when you are saving up for a pair of sneakers that you really want a chance to buy, and like, you know, like you see the rollout where we're online and we see like the rollout, it gets leaked, gets announced.
Yeah.
You really like you goes back to your, I remember being a kid and like working at Finish Line, like seeing a Nike Talk, a shoe being leaked, like I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then it's tough when you don't have a chance.
You have no chance.
That's tough.
But that's a slap in the face. So that's
tough.
why.
It's tough when, like, listen, everyone knows. Funny story as an aside, I go to the Coffee Bean yesterday.
Okay.
And a guy says hi to me. He's like, "Oh man, must be my lucky day." He was like, "Hey, what's up?" I was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." He's like, "You must be my good luck charm. I hit on sneakers app for the Flyees that released yesterday."
Yeah.
So, and I've seen it like firsthand where someone who may not be really into sneakers wanted a pair.
Yeah.
And like I've hung out with them and they've been like, what's up? He's like, man, I've been on sneakers app all morning, just like refreshing. And like it was frustrating. So it's what we talked about last week, like the salt in the wounds, where it's like you're zeroing in on these sneakers. And listen, they're very tough to get. Regardless,
the game has changed so much over like the decades or whatever, where it was before you wanted a pair of Air Jordan 17s, you just had to save up the $200 and go to Foot Locker and buy them. But now, regardless if, and I'm not like saying it's okay or whatever, but regardless if Ben Kicks is getting backdoored Union 2s,
it's tough to get.
The odds of you hitting on a Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 is still so...
Whether or not he got the
but
shoes.
I think it gets a little complicated when they feel like I had zero chance.
Yeah.
That's where I think it is.
The Trophy Room Jordan 1 is like the one shoe you could think of in the past 10 years where, I mean, other than I think Red October Yeezy 2, which at least they didn't feel like foul play, but like the Trophy Room Jordan 1, it was like... You felt like there was no chance you could
even if
ever
the shoe
get it.
didn't get backdoored, there was like no chance of you hitting on that shoe.
That's the thing. If releases aren't compromised, it's the Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
1 in a million.
You never know. Guys, it's like how many people play the lottery?
No, for sure.
You know
But
what I
then
mean? Like every day.
It's just like
Even-
the McDonald's.
Totally,
The
and I
McMoppany
think
scam?
Yeah, when
I
your
love
odds,
McDonald's Monopoly.
I
your
never
odds of
played that.
winning
It was-
that
was
so
incredible.
Monopoly was that's when you collect the pieces. It's
incredible.
Not that I always bring it up. I'm always going like finish line days. When that was what was it? A span of like 6 weeks or something?
Yeah,
2 months.
they run the promotion.
You know, people who didn't even like McDonald's during that time were eating McDonald's for lunch and dinner on their shifts just to get the
peeling
Monopoly.
off the like.
Exactly. That was I would and then you would find them in the stock room like, oh wait, did people like leave? And it was the ones that didn't matter. But what I'm saying, I think like even if there's a slim chance, we know how hard it is to get releases nowadays, but. Even if there's a slim chance, people are going to try. Sure. Yeezys, people are always going to try. And I think when there's a thing like, well, I had no chance, that's when it stings.
No,
Yeah.
It's such a crazy like trajectory from. I feel like Marcus was like the thing about him, even though he was Michael Jordan, he is Michael Jordan's son. He was like it's like the whole like like the Wolf of Wall Street, he's one of us like meme, where it's like he was.
You felt like he was an active participant in sneakers or the quote unquote
Yeah,
sneaker
he wasn't
community.
just Michael Jordan's son.
Yeah.
He was always part of the conversation before Trophy Room of sneaker Twitter, like all of that. So it's like when there was resellers on there, when he came on Full Size Run, he was like, well, if they eat, they eat, things are gonna happen anyways. And I'm not saying that makes it okay, but he just knew what the reality of
reselling was,
or just what the sneakerhead world was. That he knew that he wasn't going to create these products that weren't going to get sought after by resellers. I'm not really trying to like poke the hive or whatever, poke the bear, but I always have to. I post that one picture of me and him doing the
the meme, you and him shaking hands,
the hand meme, and it's like, and you just see like the reaction that gets out of.
Oh, he turned himself into a villain.
It's just crazy. It's like,
but he did it to himself.
Yeah, in
my opinion.
One of the comments that I guess made me laugh was someone referred to him as the Marriott manipulator.
I think that's one of the interesting parts of this thing is that like we didn't feel super compelled. Again, to talk about it too much because it felt like the same story from last year. I was like, we already reported on that. This doesn't change the narrative. This is still the case that the shoes are backdoored. But when he commented on it on Twitter and said this is all cap, then it's like, oh, you fucked up now.
It's like he
almost it felt like
he had weathered the storm.
Yeah,
like,
it
kind of had blown past.
Yeah, and it's funny because we reached out to Marcus for comment on that. And no response. And he hasn't responded to me since we published the article last year. I haven't talked to him since, and I'll hit him up for comment. But it was a similar reaction when I had published that story about Trophy Room and the backdooring allegations, where like he didn't reply to it directly, but he just like got on Twitter and said Cam Newton cap or something like that. And we haven't heard from him since. So please never let the narrative be that Complex isn't holding them accountable. Like, come on, we fucking publish this stuff, man.
It's just so funny to look back on that because I guess I always revisit in my head when we talk about Marcus. I always talk about that the episode we shot with him on Full Size Run, and like we had like talked with him on Twitter before, we
had him on our podcast.
Yeah.
After the
it's great on our
after
podcast.
that, but before the Trophy Room thing.
Yes, and
can't get a response.
I would say I'm not factoring the Trophy Room stuff, but it was like, I thought at least to that point, like great guy, it's like he could have just been like, screw you guys or whatever. The fact that I didn't like Jordan at the time, but he would joke around and, laugh with us about stuff. So I never would expect it for him to become like persona non grata within the sneaker space.
He can't get it back now unless he donates 10 million pairs of Trophy Room Jordan 1s. It's but again, I think it's important to like state my overall opinion on it, because people want us to hold brands accountable and want us to hold people accountable. Is that yes, I do believe the Trophy Room Jordan 1 release was compromised and was, a corrupt operation to an extent. And I do also feel like Jordan Brand didn't do much about it, which again hurts. And that second part is more difficult to ascertain, and it's been really tough to get people to talk about that, and we don't have anything.
But it's one of those tough ones too, where I'm not giving Jordan Brand a pass on it. But if this is the situation, like you say it is, it's like, what do you do? You know, where it's like the namesake's son gets a collaboration and potentially backdoors them. It's like, are you just going to make a public statement like, you know, decrying Marcus?
Absolutely not.
I'm not saying that, you know, that like, you know, he gets like favoritism or whatever, but it's a really.
I mean, he does.
No, I'm not saying that like he should get favoritism or whatever, but it's a really tough situation for like at that point.
If you work at Jordan Brand.
Yeah, and it's almost like if Jordan Brand makes a public statement about it, even though it's not Michael Jordan saying it himself, it's almost like he's disowning his son in the process. And I'm not like saying that these brands shouldn't care about these things, but do you really think that like that's going to occur in the public?
No, for sure.
Square.
For sure.
You know,
I just hope that
that's
it has,
all I mean.
Again, I don't have any evidence of it, but I hope that there was some accounting that happened after that release, and some people within the brand were reflective of what happened or what it did to damage the reputation of the store and Jordan Brand to an extent.
And he's teased that he has more product on the way, but he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah. And
would you be surprised if he does get another collaboration?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
I mean, it seems to me like business as usual. One more thing I want to say about this. This is something wise that Zach DeBasic, Soul Collector managing editor, said that really blew my mind, and to some extent sums up how I felt about it, even though we're here talking about it. Is he said, it's crazy the extent to which for some of these people who want to chime in on this, that just saying nothing isn't an option. Like when something like this pops up, everybody feels like they have to have a comment. I didn't have a lot to say, again, because we already said it all last year, but there's people who want to always have the take or want to have some like, oh, I heard this one bit of info from this guy with 36 Twitter followers, and so here you go. You know, like, I do think it's perfectly fine when things happen in sneakers to not necessarily try and act like you, one, know something about it, or two, have something brilliant to say about it. That's kind of how I felt about this, but here we are 40 minutes later talking about it.
But you also reported on it, so...
And that's why it's like in my head, I'm just like, all I'm going to do is just post the meme and like, not the meme, like call it a day. Cause it's like, you don't have to, it's just.
And I definitely don't want to talk about it on Twitter. Like, you know, talking about it on here is one thing, but then you get on Twitter that it's just, everybody has a reply to everything. And I'm like, yeah, I agree that the shoes were backdoored. I just
don't want to have a conversation with it.
And I didn't think these new photos were like anything significantly revelatory. I don't know. Maybe I'm being stubborn about it, but that's how I felt about it.
I feel like you addressed it. Just address it for the past 20 minutes. So,
what else do we want to talk about? Nike Kobe's?
Nike Kobe's.
Another one people are mad about?
Wait.
People got them, but I think people are mad still.
Well, people are mad with I feel like there's no 100% satisfying the Nike Kobe release scenario.
Right, because there's, definitely. But it seems like, would you guys agree that people, like...
It seems like people got them.
I mean... So they did the exclusive access thing, and I liked exclusive access when they tried it around the Off-White 50 Dunks. Maybe that's just because I got a pair, but that felt like a fun release where it did feel like nobody had an advantage over other people, you know? So I wasn't that upset when I first heard about them doing exclusive access on the Mambasita Nike Kobe 6, but I still feel like there was an opportunity to do more. It's hard because you got to remember, and this is not me making apologies for Nike, but that these shoes were produced a while ago, and they already had the product ready to go, and they were waiting for a long time to figure out a deal with Kobe Bryant's estate so they could figure out how to release them.
So they can't make 1 million pairs.
They would have been crazy to be producing pairs in the interim period where they didn't have a deal. Like, that's not going to happen. So I hope that there's a future where they're more available.
Well, that's the thing. We should see what's coming next.
That was the same situation as well with was it the undefeated draft day?
Yeah. One of those Kobe's that released.
Where like it was like the first shoe that had dropped since he had passed. And like people were mad that it was so limited. And it was like Nike wasn't trying to just do a limited shoe, that the shoe had already been made, you know, a year prior. But it's not surprising that this happened. But, you know, when the Nike had put out the messaging that like real fans were gonna get, or I don't want to note the exact verbiage, but they were like real fans were going to be able to get.
People have been putting in the Mamba mentality on court.
Yes, but it almost seemed like parody to some extent, because every time you post, or not me, but like anything Kobe related gets posted on the internet, there's always people in any mentions. Oh, not the real Kobe fans aren't getting this. This should only be for real Kobe fans. I'm a real Kobe fan, so I deserve the sneakers. You know, like there's always like just an endless supply of that. So when Nike finally put it out there that only the real fans are getting the shoes, I was like, are they like almost like
this is a joke?
Are they making a parody of like the people in the Instagram comments?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope more people can get them. And
Yes.
I don't want to see a future where every shoe is a pre-release thing, you know, or a thing where they can take pre-orders on them. We've seen Aimé Leon. Did I say it correctly? Aimé Leon Dore.
You
Yeah, I
said
think that's
Dore.
right.
No, it's
Dore.
Dore.
Excuse me. They've been doing the pre-order stuff on the New Balances, and I think that has worked well to an extent.
But it's a different model too, you know?
For sure. I just think that one time it would be cool to see Nike try that out, and I think the Kobe line would be an appropriate place for it, where you say, look, we're going to just this one time. Nike never wants to really meet demand. They always want to, you know,
Basically take in as many orders as people
yeah,
want
just
and
like
produce
one
them.
time, you know, just like,
They've never done that ever.
well, I don't think for a pre-order. I mean, I guess you could argue that Nike ID is a version of that in a way, but
Yeah.
And don't forget, a lot of these Kobe shoes were on Nike ID, and you had the chance to buy them, and y'all never bought them back then. So,
I think I had messed up on trying to characterize that the ALD thing, because I had said that, well, the ALD thing makes sense because if all the shoes are domestically manufactured through New Balance, it just feels like a much more seamless process to like manufacture the shoes and not have to ship them across the ocean and go through, you know, imports and all this sort of stuff. But I think they said some of the product that was released had been non-made in USA products, so even New Balance had
for the Teddy stuff.
had figured out a way to do that.
Yeah. Again, I mean, we're here because we like limited shoes, right? So I'm not saying this to be a gatekeeper to, you know, increase the number of people who are upset that they didn't get a pair of shoes, but I like limited shoes. So I don't want every shoe to be unlimited, but I do think it'd be cool to just try it out one time.
Fat Joe had said that on the Sneaker of the Year.
Dior ones.
Yeah, we had made the comment once trying to like side with the people who thought that the shoe was too limited and no one really got a chance to interact with it. And he's like, this is this is complex, right?
Yeah, multiple people.
Yeah, but the people on that stage
true.
are all people who can
Get
get
anything.
limited.
But he had said, he goes, I thought this is what we're here for, to celebrate limited shoes. This is complex, right?
Yesterday's take is not today's take, or is it
But yeah, I hope there's a future with, and I do think there will be. You know,
Yeah.
I think there'll be plenty of Nike Kobe
It
releases.
seems like they're all like leaned in to work on now that the deal is signed and
Yeah,
how it's going to look going forward.
yeah, and cool that, you know, money being donated to charity, and even like StockX and Gold are like donating to charity. So like I'm glad to see that, but I think it could be better.
And it felt like, I mean, because that was like a really like sentimental shoe.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
where it
that
feels
shoe
like
especially the Mambasito one. Yeah,
that one feels like, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get the shoes, but like maybe make that one like a little more limited, because it's such like a.
But these shoes were produced already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like
So-
such a meaningful shoe. I just can't imagine that just being this like shoe that's just everywhere in like.
I see.
so you don't mind that being hard to get.
Yeah, just, I mean, not that you shouldn't get the like the Kobe message out there, but
Yeah.
just when it becomes that mass,
Yeah,
it feels a little funny, you know.
but do some GR colorways. You
Yeah,
know?
no, for sure. That, I feel like that's what they should do.
I'm interested to see too if it's like a sustainable retro business over 10 years. You know, everybody wants or thinks they want Kobe sneakers right now, but like, can Kobe retro shoes be a
So
thing
many
for the
people
next?
on court still playing them.
It's just
Yeah.
so tough because it's like you see what happened with the LeBron retro line, which is like, I don't want to say a failure, but it's been kind of a bust to some.
What do you think,
extent.
Joe?
Yeah, so the South Beach LeBron 8 was definitely a wake-up call. I remember not that being Yeezy level of...
When the first one came out,
Pretty close to it.
It was very close to it. It was very, very close to it. That was definitely a wake-up call for me where, like, you know, they were reselling for not that much or...
you
like,
mean when the shoe came back
yeah,
out? Yeah,
I remember, like, that shoe was close to Yeezy level of hype. And then when it came out, people were into it, but, like, not like it was. It was like a sneaker culture moment when
That was
those
the
came
shoe
out.
that I remember. It was like the most frustrating thing because this was like right around the period where I would say that sneaker culture started to go slightly like mainstream when the South Beach, and that was like when all the Air Jordan 11s started to come out every year, but people didn't really understand like the limited nature as much, and it would always be the shoe that it'd be like a parent coming in and be like, hey, I'm here to get my kid shoes.
Oh, this is you working at retail at the time?
Were you menswear Matt back then or no? Still?
I was menswear Matt at that point, but I was working at Foot Locker, and it would always be like, okay, so what shoe do you want? You know, and they didn't know, and they would like come in with a piece of paper.
What? They would print out a piece of
photo?
paper?
Yeah,
that happened all the time.
Yeah,
you didn't like that?
No, but it would be like it was always.
That one?
The South Beach LeBron 8, and you're like
big shoe, man.
And you're like, I'm like, yes.
How was your customer service in that moment?
I would, it depends how busy it was. If it was a Saturday and like you're running around crazy and you're just like you're not going to get it, and they're like, what do you mean I'm not going to get it? I'm just like,
well,
unless you go to
sold
eBay.
Out. Oh, leave them alone. They didn't know. They were just trying to get little Johnny a South Beach LeBron 8. The boogeyman.
This was like,
yeah.
No, this was like 6 months after the release.
Yeah,
that's okay.
That's what I mean. It wasn't like it wasn't the weekend of the release that like they wanted the shoe. This was like 5-6 months later where they're like, "What do you mean I'm not going to get this shoe?" I'm just like,
they pushed back, like they had an attitude.
Yeah, you're just like, "Hey,
if
sorry."
They have an
like,
attitude,
hey,
it's different. But if they're like,
if you're trying to be like, "Hey, like, sorry, like you're just like not going to like we don't have it. You're not going to be able to get it," and they're like, "But what do you mean I'm not going to be able to get it?" And you're like,
and you're going to be like. America's sneaker culture traces back to 1985.
Exactly.
I'd have more designed the Air Jordan.
It's a very simple. It's a very simple Venn diagram here. Okay, let me break this down for you.
Or you always
everyone's in Foot Locker. He's like, just hold on 1 second. I need to break this down for you.
Or you'd always see like these they'd have these photos that like would circulate on like Facebook of like someone who took a photo of like Yeezy 2s in the dark, you know, with like the glow sole or whatever, and like they'd find that one photo that all
they were bringing you that photo.
Yeah, they'd bring that photo. Like, I need to find these shoes.
Miss, I can't tell what shoe this is.
I love that. Let them cook.
Well,
even though they didn't get the shoes, but let them cook.
Yeah, we hope Lil Johnny grew up.
And
was able to snag
them. What if he got the retro?
Yeah, exactly. How
Go
dare
to
you
eBay's
dismiss?
got those right now.
Yeah, so look on eBay.
Tell us.
Let's just look on eBay real quick. South Beach LeBron 8.
I feel like I still have more Marcus Jordan PSAs that I want. I wrote down so many things that I wanted to say.
South Beach LeBron 8, $199, $299 on eBay, $160.
Oh, funny part about Marcus Jordan, I think that we've all agreed on this.
We're back. I love it.
That we agreed on is that half the people you see getting mad about it aren't even consumers who didn't get a chance. Mm-hmm. They're like resellers trying to snitch on other resellers who are mad that they didn't get backdoored the pairs. Have you noticed that?
No, I know what you mean. The people who are most incensed about it are the people who would have liked to been
cook on
participating in it themselves. Yeah, and also, I'm not saying that any of the tweets circulating the past couple of weeks are inaccurate or accurate. I didn't look into them enough to know whether or not they're accurate. I'm just saying. You know, we've been here before, so I don't want anybody to say like,
it's like a rehash of old news, like,
you know, to an extent. But look, trophy room fucked up.
Yeah,
that's
we can all agree on that. Like, no one's like taking Marcus's side on this, being like he did it the right way. No,
imagine.
He should have backdoored more of them.
Any other spicy things we want to talk about while we're here? Did we capture everything that happened in the world of sports footwear?
I think you guys handled it.
Week?
The spice.
I mean, we didn't. We only referenced it at the top, but the fact that, you know, mischief has
look who brought it up. He didn't even bring it up.
He kind of brought it up.
No, you brought it up. Yeah, mischief. Vans
got the temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction from the court that bars mischief from selling the Wavy Baby sneakers in the pending lawsuit.
But if they sell out on the app, which they did, what does that mean?
They're supposed to take the money and put it in escrow in case the lawsuit comes in Vans' favor.
Is it similar to the Ari Foreman situation where, like, you remember when he had said on the podcast
he had to destroy him?
He has to like try to his best to like try and like
I think so.
The pairs.
I can't remember exactly what they said in the order, but I think that there's something like that where they maybe have to try and process refunds.
Like if they come across a pair, they have to like try and purchase it or something like that.
But as alluded to at the top of the program, the Complex Sneakers podcast was mentioned in that order. Matt Welty was quoted in that order.
Funny.
And Lucas Bentel, who was also on the Complex Sneakers podcast, was
Wait,
quoted.
Matt, his actual quote was quoted in the thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder he's running around like he's...
That was
the victory lap?
Was like it's Hot Boy
That's
Summer.
what was used as they had said to prove consumer confusion.
Yeah.
That what I had said, and it's funny because it came from our full size run episode. That's what I was saying. When I had spoken to people...
But the quote was from the podcast, but your thought was from the full size.
Yes, from when I had mentioned to the Talk of New York,
Tony
Yayo, that we were talking about the shoe, and I go, if you see someone walking across the street in the shoes, you think they're a pair of Vans, and he goes, yes.
So you working for Vans?
No. The funny part too is that like Vans is like when it comes to like hierarchy of like
you don't care about Vans at all.
No, I don't.
That's the interesting.
I don't wear Vans
about,
at all.
About
I'm not
that
caping
Matt
for
Welty,
Vans.
Yeah. Wow. I totally forgot about how like you. I would almost even say you like have a bit of disdain for Vans.
If anything,
why?
Even on top of it, like the real like
he's so anti-Vans,
and this has nothing to do with like Vans per se, but like the real like it's funny because it goes all the way back because Vans VF Corp, right? That's like the company. My mom used to work for Timberland for 15 years.
This is it.
My mom worked for Timberland for 15 years, and then
Timberland, also part of VF Corp.
Yes, gets purchased by VF Corp because the president at the time had like run the company into the ground in like the early 2000s. Okay. And my mom, I think she had just got promoted to a job where it was like screening new hires, and the company was downsizing, so her job got eliminated. And at the time, it's like my dad like was working an independent company. He has a heart condition, didn't have health insurance.
Oh my God.
So it like caused like all this like turmoil.
Okay. So if anything
within our family, where I'm just like FVF Corp, you know, where it's like I have an actual disdain against them.
Yeah.
Sorry to like give you the whole like history.
I love this.
So that's my actual disdain against VF Corp. So people out there who think that I'm like caping for Vans, I really don't care about them at all.
If anything, the opposite.
Yes,
exactly. If anything, you should help Mischief make a parody sneaker of Vans because that's one of the things
that looks like a Timberland.
Oh boy,
that's one of the things the judge said. It didn't successfully meet all the requirements to be a parody. So you could help Mischief make a real parody shoe.
But it was just funny that I didn't even, someone had tagged me in it because they had posted like the documents or the legal documents because it said April 29th, and I'm like, is this something that had already come out and like we missed it or something like that?
I think it was filed on April 29th, but it didn't hit Pacer where all the legal documents are until Monday.
But they had said that our statement my statement within our podcast was what caused the court to side with the plaintiff.
Part of it.
For consumer confusion. One, it proved that one point of it.
The smoking gun in human form, right to my right. Look at it. All right.
What's spicier than that?
All right, guys, listen, talked about a lot of things. This has been the Complex Sneakers Podcast. We hope you have a great weekend. Please like, subscribe. We will see you guys next week.